Wow. Guys, it is hot. The air conditioning tech came and they took out my unit from the apartment. But as I mentioned in another video, it is Golden Week. So the apartment complex won't give permission for the next unit to come in for the next handful of days, maybe as many as 9 days. So I am very hot, but that's not the purpose of this video. This video is about the creative process and something we're going to talk about: distractions. And yeah, the heat is distracting, but I'm going to get changed. We'll be right back. A distraction is anything that's going to keep you from giving your full attention because you're giving it to something else. And this could be like an extreme agitation of the mind. It can be emotions. It could be fear. It could even be pain. Like right now, I did something this week and I pulled some muscles in my low back, and it's taking some of my focus away, and I am distracted because it's a constant reminder how I need to move differently. And it's limiting some of my activities and choices of what I can do with the time that I have. So distractions can affect everything, and it can kill your creative process or bring it to a halt. And that's why it's important to talk about distractions. There are some distractions that we can deal with that are outside. There are some that are more internal. Maybe you've heard of this term, mental distraction. Well, mental distraction is obviously between your ears, and it can be maybe thinking about a past event, or you're daydreaming. You're not paying attention. Remember that we can only live in today. We can't live in yesterday. We can't live in tomorrow. We can make plans for the future, but we can only deal with today. I have many things that might seem petty that would distract me, and it may seem silly to some of you. One of the things that is a distraction of mine is clutter. I understand if you have a workspace, like a workbench, work area, a studio where things get a little bit jumbled. But I'm talking about clutter. Clutter that piles and piles and piles. And some of you know, I don't want to call you hoarders, but your things pile so high they almost reach the ceiling. Keep in mind that sometimes the distractions that we have are willful. Let's just call this resistance. I'm going to come back to that later. Now, there's factors that we can control in our environment, and there's some things that are outside of our control, and maybe we need to change where we are at. One of the sources of distractions in today's world is the digital distractions. There is a huge conversation about the mental hijack that goes on with people always staring at their smartphones. I look at a restaurant, I see a family, they have a small child that's maybe 6 years old, and the mother, the father, and the child are all looking at their own smart device. This was a time that they could be eating together and having a little bit of exchange as a family. I'm not saying it always has to happen, but it sure struck me as odd looking at all of the restaurants and seeing people all on their phones. There are a couple things I'm going to touch on. One of them is social media. If you have maybe a cycle of websites that you go to, maybe that you are always in your inbox and your emails, and their last one would be the apps. Okay, so social media, it does have a strong place. The place that it can help you is, of course, with your marketing for your business. If you're exchanging information, you're having an ongoing conversation, keeping up with people, there are a lot of productive things that can be done with it. But there may be a need to set some limits, basically to protect yourself, like a barrier so you don't just go overboard. Because there's a danger for our mind, and that is this appeal for entertainment and amusement, to always have some kind of stimulus. Now, you may have heard of the phrase FOMO, the fear of missing out. Maybe also the fear of missing something bad. Like, it's not always about missing a party or an event. Sometimes you want to know if there's an emergency. Social media, for some, is going to have a moderate behavioral addiction. You see, there's this response loop where you have a dopamine release and there's a stimulus. You're expecting to see something that's exciting or new or different, and there's this emotional response. And when you don't get that, you feel deprived. You feel like you are missing out. You have symptoms that are like behavioral addiction. So there are advantages and disadvantages. Using the internet gives you access to mass information. That's good. Keep this also in mind, that you are pumping other people's outlooks and ideas into your mind. Not always good. If you listen to every voice out there, you will become distracted. Not everybody agrees or sees things the same way. There is another thing that's taking time away. It's not just about looking at your phone, but it's something that's called the network switching cost. It's the energy to move your focus from one task to the next. And I gained some of this insight from watching a podcast from a Dr. Cal Newport and Dr. Andrew Huberman. And I found that to be amazing, and it makes perfect sense. I researched this a little bit further, and I found some other studies on the same topic, and they cited it can take an average of 23 minutes to fully switch a task and be going at your normal speed. So keep this in mind, that if you're going back and forth between what you should be doing and checking your phone messages or checking the update on your social media site, that it's not just that time it takes to go between the two. It's also your mental state. Now, to keep it super brief today, talking about apps, here's the reminder. Large tech companies hire psychologists to help adjust their software to distract you and have you come back often and stay a while. How do they do this? It's the sound of the tones, the type of rings, the type of beeps and blips, the buttons that you push, the prompts that you have, and they are always tracking your behavior so they can even do it better. And yeah, if they have to hire a psychologist to make their app perform better, it's coming back to that whole mental hijack thing I was talking about, and it's truly addictive. If you want to test to see if you are distracted from social media and maybe your smart device, here's a question. Have you ever felt that you are drained when your smart device is drained? Like when its battery is low, you feel low? This might be a test, this might be a clue that you are being distracted and somewhat controlled by something else, something external, not inside of you, okay? Good news, to have that focus and attention, it's not theirs to take, it's yours to give. So if you found yourself in this loop, there's hope, okay? There is a way to break that cycle. Anytime you give over emotions and focus and all of these things to something else, you're giving it power to have over you. But it's yours to give, not theirs to take, okay? Regardless of what the marketing says. Now, what is the enemy of distractions? Well, one of the enemies of distractions is focus. So there are some focus triggers that you can use in your life to get it back. One of those might be something simple like your favorite chair. So the location, your desk, maybe you have a window view of something like a beautiful lake, something that gets you kind of in that zone where you can be the most creative, the most focused. Another one is sound. So music, some people will swear by listening to music, and this is great. So you can choose music, you can choose silence. Make it intentional. How do you manage your distractions? Well, some people will use noise canceling headphones, or they listen to what we call white noise to reduce any kind of sound distractions. Some people prefer to use earplugs. The choice of sound. There are so many things to get into. We'll probably have to get into in a separate video if enough of you want it. But you have binaural beats, and they have certain tempo or beats per minute. Even the very structure of music can affect our brain in different ways. So again, ask me in the comments if you want to do a deep dive on it. We can look in more in depth because there is a ton to explore there. Okay, but getting back to the solution of this distraction thing. Routines. Tasks that help get you closer to your goals and don't impede in your creative process. I'm going to challenge you to try to accomplish the most difficult task that you loathe first. It's going to set you up for the rest of your day. Ask yourself the question, when are you becoming distracted? Is there a pattern? Maybe you're distracted by some of these big tasks. So could it be marketing, planning, lifting weights, making sales calls? Not doing this early is going to be a constant distraction every other part of your day. So try to knock it out early, and you will find yourself set up for a much happier day. Now, some of you may find solutions if you become more difficult to reach. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's say you get into that focused state. You want to get away from all the notifications, your inbox, your messages, the calls, and for some of you, it's even going to be internet access. So you remove all of these electronic distractions. So something simple like either turning off your phone or putting it on silence, or you make sure you can't see the screen. You turn off notifications on your laptop or any electronic device you have. Ask yourself this question: are other people's priorities monopolizing your time? Now, I don't mean you should ignore people. I don't mean that at all. You just need to schedule a time to reply to everybody. There should be a certain interval that you do this. For some of you, that might be once a day, or sometimes you can do it a couple times a day, but you have time blocked off that you intentionally go in and take care of it. Some of the stuff we're talking about with distractions can be combated with schedule, planning, calendar. Another strategy is to batch or take similar tasks and you group them so you can minimize that time and focus wasted during the switch we talked about earlier. Some people become more focused and creative after they work out. They spend the physical energy and it narrows what energy they have left to focus. Basically, you would just want to find a way to work that works for you. You try something, you make a plan. You evaluate the results. Did it work? Can you do it better? Can it be more efficient? Or did it not work? You try another way, or you try something else until you discover the best strategy you can do. I'm going to leave you with this quote. There is an Admiral, William McRaven, and he says that if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed every morning. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. And it'll give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. I'm not saying take the easy wins, and I'm not saying do everything in life on hard mode. What I am saying is that if you need some gains, get a little bit of traction so that you can have something to build on. The last thing I would want is for you to be discouraged and think that you cannot accomplish more than what you accomplished yesterday or last week. Getting into the creative process, getting into the flow that's going to make you the most efficient in what you do, whether you are a content creator or you are working in your own business or you have a family that you are trying to nurture and do things with that you haven't thought possible before. All of these things, when you can minimize those distractions and combat it with some of the techniques we talked about today, you're going to have a better result. And you are not going to be productive and creative if you're always distracted and dealing with emergencies left and right because you're always reacting, you're not being proactive. So I hope that this helps. And until the next time we're back on this channel, create your world.